Thanks, Matt, and thanks to SAEMC for hosting today's event, and thanks for everyone being here for the afternoon session. So I'm Travis Beinke. I joined the Australian Rare Earths team back in June this year after spending 5 years with Oz Minerals. I was fortunate to spend that time there, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot that can be applied to junior explorers and miners, particularly in progressing study phases. So today I'll run through, I guess, the AR3 corporate deck, but given the theme of the afternoon being feasibility studies or feasibility stage, I'll spend a little bit more time talking about some of those items. Before jumping into it, just say that taking projects from discovery to production can be tough. It's only getting harder if you think about societal expectations, legislative requirements, head grade of projects, costs, getting projects from initial discovery through to production is getting tougher. So how do you see your way through all that noise? And I guess there's probably a few key takeaways from my time at Oz that I'd help create value and progress projects, and I'll share some of those with you. Firstly, it's taking a risk-based approach, so thinking of risks as both threats and opportunities. By understanding what your material threats and opportunities are, it really helps you understand where to focus your energies and where you can create most value, rather than chasing small issues down to finite detail that can always be solved later. Retaining optionality is another key thing. Too often projects shut down good ideas in the desire to move to the next study phase. Greater definition, we've got to keep these things moving, but if you kill things off too early, as you learn more and more, you will always need to come back to different options to try and find greater value over time. And then probably the third thing is innovation and collaboration. The smartest person's probably not in your room, so I think seeking input and ideas from many will certainly give you the opportunity to end up with a better outcome. So be open to trying things, learning things, failing fast, and you'll certainly give yourself a better shot at taking a project from discovery into production. It's just the usual disclaimer. So today I'll just touch on, I guess, three key elements of AR3's value proposition. Firstly, I'll just very briefly touch on the market. The long-term rare earth market outlook is pretty robust, with rare earths being critical to the energy transition. Secondly, our Copper Mara project, our flagship project, has the potential to be a multi-decade, multi-generational project delivering rare earths into both light and heavies into the market for decades to come. And thirdly, we're growth focused. So we feel like over the last 3 years, we've really built a team that has a great level of expertise in understanding these clay-hosted deposits, and we're very keen to, deploy those skill sets in bringing more projects into the portfolio to provide scale and optionality over time. So just the company at a glance. So as you know, our flagship project down the southeast of South Australia. We've got some new exploration projects up in North Queensland, which I'll talk a little bit about later. We're well funded. And I think importantly, we've got an experienced board which has got a really diverse set of skills, ranging from rare earth experience, geologists, chemical engineer, investment bankers, government experience, and all of these sort of skill sets are really key in advancing a project like this into production. From a market perspective, demand side of things, like I said, really robust as the energy transition continues to gain legs and decarbonisation efforts around the world take place. Rare earths are critical to that, with being in the permanent magnets that are going to drive efficient electric motors in both EVs and wind turbines. They're also important and growing in their importance for defence applications and robotics. So the forecasts that we see today we see a little over 100,000 tonnes of rare earth oxides produced, and by 2040 looking at just over 300. From a supply, it hasn't come up so well. There's a bit missing on that slide. So I guess the point here, from a supply perspective, rare earths, both mine production and downstream separation capability, is essentially dominated by China. Currently over 65% of rare earth mine production and over 90% of downstream processing is conducted in China, and governments around the globe and OEMs around the globe have certainly identified the need to diversify supply chains and have an alternate supply to reduce geopolitical risk and risk of supply. So given the significant global demand increase outlook and the desire to establish an alternate supply, we see projects like Copper as being one of many that will be needed into the future. Talk a little bit more about Copper now. So for those that don't know, it's located down the southeast of South Australia, with the main part being around Narracor. Our tenure down there, it goes from Keith in the north right down to Mount Gambier in the south, so it extends over some 200 kilometres. Got a little over 6,000 square kilometres of prospective tenure, and the setting of our deposit down there is clay over shallow limestone. This means that the deposit is typically less than 10 metres at depth. This allows for rapid, low-cost exploration and ultimately mining when we get to that stage. So we believe we've got a significant project down at Copper. The resource is open both north and south of the current 186 million tonnes that we have, and provides us with certain growth and optionality moving forward. Just a little bit more on the resource. We've drilled just over 56,000 metres since the initial discovery back in 2021. We have 186 million tonnes, a little over 700 ppm. Interestingly and importantly, that resource sits only on 2% of our tenure. So we've got a lot of potential upside. So from a project development point of view, the team's really been focused on developing a pathway to production in the southern part of the tenure where the main resource has been identified. But earlier I talked about optionality. So one of the things that we're really challenging the team to think about now is the best way to develop the entire province. We're confident that with the style of mineralisation and the work done to date, that this style of mineralisation is going to be extensive throughout our province. So we need to determine the best way to maximise value across the province. This just shows a little bit of history of what we've been able to do. So our exploration target is up to 3.1 billion tonnes. And again, that's only on a relatively small part of our total prospective tenure, at just under 20% of that. So we've got great confidence with the drilling to date, our progress we've made, that we'll continue to be able to increase both exploration targets and the size of the resource over time. What are we doing at the moment? We've just kicked off another drilling campaign, planning to do another 30-odd thousand metres of drilling through to next year. It's really focused at extending that exploration target where there's been no drilling to date, as well as expanding the resource to help inform our development plans as we think about how we're going to progress the project. From a flow sheet point of view, today clay-hosted rare earth projects have only been produced from mines in southern China and Myanmar. This means that a lot of the IP is essentially contained within China. So collaboration has been a big part of our success to date. We've got an extensive team of technical experts from around the world working on our flow sheet development. This has resulted in us being the first Australian ionic clay deposit to produce a mixed rare earth carbonate, the ultimate product that we'll produce on site and sell to customers. This was produced at ambient temperatures and pressure, so and with essentially off-the-shelf, low technical risk equipment. So what this means is that we'll have a scalable, and when we say scalable, think optionality, low capital, low operating cost environment, particularly when you compare them to the hard rock projects, which are, I think you saw one of the earlier presentations where you're talking, north of $1 billion to get some of those projects into production. From a sustainability point of view, we're certainly committed to developing a sustainable future, not only in the product that we're going to produce, but the way we go about it. We believe it's critical to develop your projects and design your projects from the outset with sustainable practices in mind. So that's certainly something that we're embedding into our development plans. From a community perspective, we've really been focused on building trust and transparency to demonstrate the value that mining can have in the local community, and that's something that is going to be key to unlocking this project, is taking the community along on the journey with us. Part of that, this is an example, I guess, of building trust. So we did a trial mining pit last year and undertook a rehabilitation program. This was essentially a demonstration of what mining could look like and what rehabilitation could look like in the region. The image on the left there shows the trial pit. As you can see, relatively shallow. We removed the clay. We put it back in, we rehabilitated the land, and as you can see, the progress over the last year in returning it to its natural use. I guess this is one of the really exciting things about, and one of the really exciting opportunities is to really work with the farmers down in the area of where we would like to develop the project, with the view of trying to find opportunities to return the lands in a more resilient and productive state than when we took them. So that's something that we're pretty excited to work on over the coming years. Just quickly to round out on an additional exploration, like I said, we've really developed a unique set of skills at Australian Rare Earths over the last few years in assessing ionic clay deposits. And we're going to deploy those skills to try and identify other prospective projects. We're excited to get on the ground in North Queensland, where we have some exploration ground under application at the moment. And there we believe that the granites and their exposure to a tropical setting where chemical weathering actively occurs are highly prospective for ionic clay style of deposits. So once Oakey Valley, Sandy Tate and 40 Mile Scrub applications are granted, we'll certainly be on the ground to rapidly assess the prospectivity. Just a little further to the south of those projects is our Dalrymple project. Chris, one of our geos, was up on site recently for a field trip with initial soil sampling. We look forward to getting those results soon and sharing what we've found there today. So I guess just in summary, we're really looking at developing a portfolio of rare earth clay-hosted projects. This is going to be underpinned by a compelling long-term outlook for the commodity. We've got great potential in producing a multi-generational province at our flagship project, Coppermurra, and we really want to add some early-stage exploration opportunities into the pipeline for scale and growth opportunities. So we've got a little booth out there. Any questions, certainly feel free to catch up with Chris and the rest of the team. And thanks for having us.